Hello and welcome to this Moneycontrol live stream, Closing Bell with me, Yatin Mota. We'll talk a lot of things about the Indian stock markets and the action which happened on the opening day of this week. Obviously, this is a truncated week. We had the Holi holiday yesterday and Friday also the markets will be shut and the March series expiry will happen on this Thursday. So, a lot of action to track and a lot of things to really watch out for. But let's talk about the Indian stock markets today. Obviously, it was a day of consolidation. We have the Nifty rebalancing which will happen tomorrow, and one day before the Nifty rebalancing, we had the Nifty which was trying to hold down that 22,000 mark. Obviously, we closed around that 22,000 mark, down by about 90 points, and if you look at the Sensex, we lost nearly 360 points. So, it was broadly a day of consolidation. Global cues were also quite weak, because of which we saw a gap down happening on Indian equities. The Nifty Bank also fell nearly 260 points, but the good part was that mid caps were trying to bounce in today's trading session. Obviously, last week we had a lot of mid cap which had seen some correction, especially the PSU stocks which had rallied a lot. So, March is a typical month where we see consolidation in the mid cap space. But as I mentioned earlier, that it was a day of consolidation for the mid caps. So, we had the mid cap index which moved nearly 500 points, almost a percent higher, and probably because of that the Indian market breadth or the advance decline ratio was 1:2. So, 1 advances and 2 declines, largely driven by the fall in few of the sectors like FMCG, financial services, IT and media. However, if you look at the gaining sectors, we had buying in real estate, metal, PSU, banks and energy stocks. Obviously, in energy stocks, oil marketing companies led all the way. Now, let's talk about the Indian markets, Nifty 50, wherein we saw stocks like Bajaj Finance, Hindalco, Britannia, Adani Ports moving in trade. These were the top gainers. Adani Ports obviously gained nearly 2% in trade after announcing acquisition of the Gopalpur port from Shapoorji Pallonji Group. Obviously, in the losing side, we had power stocks, IT stocks. So, in the power stocks, we had stocks like Power Grid, which fell 2%. Stocks like Bharti Airtel, Wipro, Kotak, Eicher Motors also saw some bit of correction. But as I mentioned earlier, the action was fully in the mid cap space. So, we had the stocks like Apar Industries, Torrent Pharma, GPPL gaining by 9 to 10%. Finolex Cables and Triveni Turbine also saw some good traction. On the losing side, we had Sumitomo Chemicals, JBM Auto, Lakshmi Chemicals, Sterlite Technologies, and all of these stocks saw some bit of consolidation and correction. But clearly today we had stocks like Mankind Pharma which were in focus. There was a block deal in the counter at close to 2150 per share, and post the block deal the stock saw a rally of nearly 100 rupees. So, after the big 2000 crore block deal, shares of Mankind Pharma moved in trade. So did stocks like GPPL and Max Financial Services. But on the losing side, we had stocks like IIFL and JM Financial, because news reports suggested that RBI will do a special audit of IIFL Finance as well as JM Financial in the coming weeks, probably to find out lapses, if any, in their overall loan disbursement or LAS business. But when you talk about the Indian stock markets, as I mentioned, Thursday will be the day of expiry for the March series, and typically we have a lot of fund action happening on that day. Tomorrow we have the Nifty rebalancing, and as you remember, we have Shriram Finance which will be included in the Nifty tomorrow, and we have UPL which will be out of the Nifty when it comes to the rebalancing flows. But today let's talk about the stocks which are in focus, and clearly today it was a stock or the sector which was the diagnostic space. Now, Kotak Securities has come out with a report on the entire diagnostic space, wherein they are quite bullish and they have changed the stance on stocks like Dr. Lal, Path Lab and Metropolis. When it comes to the double upgrade on Dr. Lal, we had Kotak which has upgraded the stock. Not only that, but also increased the target price. Now, if you look at Dr. Lal, Path Lab, the stock has been consolidating, but if you look at Kotak's new target price, they have upgraded the stock to add from sell. The target price now is 2360 per share. They have also increased the target price on stocks like Metropolis to a new level of 1600. Obviously, let us understand why has Kotak upgraded the stocks of Dr. Lal, Path Lab as well as Metropolis. The simple reason here is that the competitive pressure has been reducing. If you remember, Tata 1mg and Thyrocare had been quite aggressive after launching new products in the marketplace at lower and discounted levels, post which we saw the entire diagnostic space consolidate in terms of margins. COVID was a golden period for diagnostic stocks, but after the COVID wave stoppage, or probably after the vaccination, we saw the profits dip for all of these companies because of pricing pressures. But now, according to the Kotak report, there have been improvement in pricing. In fact, they believe that companies like Metropolis have increased the prices by nearly 5% on a quarter-on-quarter basis. Not only that, stocks like or companies like Dr. Lal Thyrocare have seen stable pricing regime, and new entrants like Agilus as well as Lupin, both of them have hiked the price. In fact, Lupin, who is the new entrants in the diagnostic space, has seen a price increase of nearly 12% on a quarter-on-quarter basis, which augurs well, because once the new entrants don't have any deep pockets left, they resort to again pricing the products at a higher price or closer to the market price, which helps the older and stronger players like Dr. Lal as well as Metropolis regain the market share or probably the lost margins, which was the case a few quarters back. So now Kotak believes that moving ahead, the earnings for companies like Kotak as well as for the companies like Metropolis as well as Dr. Lal should look up with pricing improving and volumes coming back. So this was the story of the diagnostic space. If you look at the charts which are on your screen, Dr. Lal ended the day higher by nearly 6.5%, almost closing at the day's high, and so was the case with Metropolis, with gains of nearly 3.5% coming in. So clearly the sector of the day was the diagnostic space. Obviously, you have to stay with Moneycontrol for all your business news and updates. Tomorrow in the opening bell, we'll discuss about the Nifty rebalancing. We'll discuss about how really to shape your trade going into the expiry week. Obviously, do remember this is a truncated week and the financial year closing. So do trade carefully with stop losses and stay tuned to Moneycontrol for all your business news updates and news, and also the market expert advice. Thank you so much for joining us on Closing Bell. See you tomorrow at same time, and always stay logged in to moneycontrol.com.